Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Azza Abu Sef, and I'm the Executive Director at CAIR Arizona. As you may all know, CAIR Arizona is dedicated to defending, educating, and empowering the Muslim community. Our goal is to defend and be the voice of Arizona's Muslim community amidst the rise of this global Islamophobia. As the needs of our community have evolved, so have we. While we continue to be a strong legal representative for the community, our work has also flourished into the realm of civic engagement. The Muslim community has a massive stake in the decisions that shape the state and the country. All the issues that affect us, such as education, healthcare, immigration, housing, gun violence, and foreign policy, are all determined by our civic engagement and how engaged we are with our community. Um, you may ask how, can I make a difference, and, how will representation change things? Well, we need representation in all sorts of tables and especially in public office. I have a very special guest with me today, Eva Masadiego, who's the National Director of Leadership Programs at the New American Leaders. Eva, thank you for agreeing to join with us today. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you're doing at New American Leaders and how you even got into this sort of work.
Thank you so much, Asa. No, it's a pleasure to be with you here today and to discuss this very important, have this very important conversation to engage more people. And we should see ourselves as potential elected members. So, yes, my name is Eva Masadiego, and I'm the Director of Leadership Programs at New American Leaders. And before I go into talking about myself, I'll mention that NOW has been training and supporting first and second generation Americans to run, win, and lead in public office. We are the only national organization focused on uplifting immigrant communities into elected office. And we do that in three ways. So first is we train them to run, to see themselves as public servants. And then we help them win through our C4, New American Leaders Action Fund. And then once they win, we continue to support them as they lead in their governing bodies through a series of governance programs, all focused on building a net of support for elected officials across the country. And so it's a great question on what led me to here, because my path definitely isn't linear. I began my career as a social worker, as a teacher. I taught for 3 years in the Balt School District here in Phoenix, Arizona. Absolutely loved it. And it was my third year of teaching when someone's like, you should run for school board. And I was like, I don't have kids. I'm a teacher. Who am I to be running for office? And, they motivated me. It took a lot of ask. I'll tell you that, because I was the person who was like, I'll never run. That's not for me. And I took this training, New American Leaders. And for the first time in a long time, right? Third year teacher, I saw the power of diversity in the room. I saw myself as a public servant. I thought about the idea when I completely ignored it prior to this. And I went into government, which was not part of the plan at all. I worked for the city of Phoenix for a couple years, working for elected officials, managing the city commission. And I realized then that it mattered so much who was sitting in the room, who was voicing these concerns, who was advocating for policy priorities. And it truly does make a difference. Local elections make a difference, state elections make a difference, and of course, federal. And I went into this work. I had the opportunity to work at NAL, and I said, yes, I want to help elect more people like us all across the country. And I've been doing that for 4 years at NAL, but NAL has been around for 10 years. We've just celebrated our 10th year anniversary, and we've been training people to run. 1,000 people across the country who have been trained by NAL. And we have over 200 elected officials in our network serving all across. So it's been an honor to do this work, and I'm excited to continue doing this work with CAIR.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. And I know you spoke a little bit about like school board. I think sometimes folks tend to think about elections as just being presidential elections. But being elected in a school board is so vital, right? We have a huge amount of Muslim students here in Arizona,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of bullying, right? So why is it important to be elected to positions like school boards um, for the community?
Yes, absolutely. So, when now actually, it's important for me to note that, in Arizona, I gave birth to now. So it was almost 9 years ago where we had our first Ready to Lead, which is our signature training program here in the state of Arizona. And we've actually done school board training specifically here in the state of Arizona because there's such a huge opportunity for people to run for school boards. Within one huge Phoenix Union High School district, we have over 20 elementary school districts.
Well,
That is over 100 seats where people could be running for office. And we've definitely seen the impact, especially in the last 2 years with COVID guidelines, teachers support, parent support, of what it matters, right? To have a parent, to have someone who doesn't speak English as their native language, to have someone whose health is at risk, and advocating for the many needs of all, of children, staff, and teachers and parents across school districts. And, oftentimes we do only hear about elections, every 4 years, or, now in 2022, where we have this state election that's important, but school board elections are happening every 2 to 4 years. And those are often not televised, they're not often talked about. And like me, unless you work at a school, you're a parent, you really don't know. But there's so much change that can happen, immediate change. And I'll give you some quick examples, and these are not all state based in Arizona, but when we have someone advocating that every material is shared in multiple languages across, think about when I was a kid, we received all our material in English, and I had to translate as a 7-year-old kid to my parents of what that meant. And it's definitely changed over the years, but now we have services for parents and the community around COVID safety and health advocacy, which again, all comes from having governing board members that understand the needs of their community, that are advocating for the resources of teachers and staff. And you talk about bullying, that happens a lot. It's happening more with social media and the fact that everyone has access to a phone, right at hand. And there's just, there's language access, there's curriculum, and what our children are being taught, that we can advocate for, and also make sure that everyone's being supported all around. And one other thing that I want to briefly mention is that commissions, right? So when I worked at the city of Phoenix, I helped manage the Youth and Education Commission, and we had 2 seats allocated for youth, for high school students, college age students, and no one would apply. It was so difficult for us to find a young person that was applying to the Mayor's Youth and Education Commission when we had 2 seats allocated for that. And it can be a very intimidating process, right? It could seem like something that you're like, oh, I would never. But the application process, both for school board and both for a commission, is open to everyone, anyone who's a constituent. All you have to do is fill out an application. Right. For school board, all you have to do is get signatures from 50 to 100 of your, the community residents to have your name on the ballot. And it's really an accessible process, but it could be a very intimidating process, especially when you never, like myself, never saw yourself as someone who would be that person, right? And I have become a huge advocate for our city commissions or state committees that people can apply for. And I could go into that, but definitely there's opportunity. And the first thing is realizing that while can it be intimidating, it is a process that's accessible and open to anyone. And if there's something you care about, education, health, your city, I mean, there's so many things now that I've become a mother that I see the world differently. And there's so much that I want to do, right? And so there's opportunity out there.
Thank you for sharing that, Eva. Eva, I'd love for you to go into the nitty gritty about NAL. I think NAL is so amazing with, the fact that they focus on making sure that immigrants are running for office, and you have some pretty big names that came out of now. So I'd love for you to get, into
Yeah,
details about now.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been an incredible journey of 10 years. So like I said, Arizona gave birth to Now over 10 years ago. And it's important to recognize what was happening during this time and what Now was a response to. So it was a response to SB 1070. So for those of us hearing right now, SB 1070 was the Show Me Your Papers law, and it passed overwhelmingly in the state of Arizona that made racial profiling legal. What that meant is that any law enforcement could stop someone who they thought was, undocumented, illegal, and request to see proof identification, which again targeted a specific community in the state. And that was passed. It's still a law to this day. And since then, in the last 10 years, we have trained, again, like hundreds of people in the state of Arizona, but now we have 7 new American state legislators elected in the Arizona state legislature, 7, 5 of which are alum of Now. And this includes people like Raquel Teran, Athena Salman, who continue to fight against racist and xenophobic policy. And that's really the wave of what we've seen in the last 10 years. In Michigan, Rashida Tlaib helped start the chapter of New American Leaders in the state of Michigan, and she has helped continuously to recruit people to run. And now we have overwhelmingly, I can think about at least 5 state legislators who are New American, who came either recruited by her or cultivated through her leadership in those in the state of Michigan and in Georgia. So we focus in some critical states where, as you can imagine, right now we're in the offense, which means that we're continuously defending ourselves, defending our rights, advocating that we are heard and that our needs are taken into priority. And that's really where we have been in the last 2 years and, prior to that. But that's not the long-term mission of Now. Our long-term mission is to build an inclusive and accountable policy movement, right? Where we're not continuously fighting for our rights, but that we're implementing and passing progressive policy that is really centered on our needs as a community. And so we continue to do that. And hopefully 10 years from now, I will be sharing a whole different story.
It's amazing. What's the program like? How can people get involved? Um, let us know. How can we get people involved into doing this? I know it's a very easy process because I've, filled out the application before, and I've, the paperwork. So I know it's like easy breezy, but I'd love for you to walk us through how people can get involved, how they can see what you are all up to, and
Yeah, of
join.
course. Well, before I go into that, I definitely want to talk about what makes our curriculum different, right? Because there's tons of training organizations that are doing incredible work. And why I'm so proud of New American Leaders is that our curriculum is centered on our immigrant identity. It's all centered on our own unique immigrant experience, right? And what that means in the campaign world. And so before we talk about campaigning mechanics and like everything you need to do about voter outreach, we are talking about our lived experiences and how that informs why we do the work we do, our goals, and the impact that we can truly make as a community. I talk about myself as never seen myself as an elected official. And a lot of us, don't grow up wanting to be elected officials. And that's actually a good thing, it is a good thing that you don't grow up wanting to be a politician. But, we all want to make an impact. We all come from a unique background that wants to make an impact in their community. And that's exactly what Now delves into, right? And then when we talk about campaigning, the hardest thing that our participants and our alums say was fundraising. And think about yourself as an immigrant kid, and you definitely didn't ask for money. You didn't talk about money. You didn't ask about money. And you come with that. You grow up thinking like money is something we don't talk about. Money is something I don't ask for. Money is something that's not given. You have to work for. And let's talk about that and the impact it has that in campaigns. Let's talk about voter outreach. And the fact that, yes, we're you know, we're power in numbers, but it's not just about getting people to vote, right? Once every 4 years. It's about getting people to be actively involved in this process always. So let's change how we talk about voter outreach. So again, our curriculum is also addresses what does it mean to be someone like, you and me running for office, and the fact that, you may be the first and the only running in your race, and what that means for you and yourself, and the emotional stress that come with. And we address that, the racism and the xenophobia that you will encounter on the campaign trail. And so let's talk about that. Let's give you some skills, some tools, so that you can better tackle that when that comes, right? So addressing the most important topics that come through campaigning and through politics in a way that really speaks to our needs and our lived experiences. So that's why I love now and love my experience when I was going through the training. And it really, I say it was transformational, and it sounds cheesy, but it truly was, because it completely motivated me at that time in my life, and continues to do that. So how do you do it? There are multiple ways. So first way, if you are not an elected official and you're not a candidate, the first thing you could do is apply to one of our training programs. So we have right now 4 regional trainings scheduled throughout the year. And so we have a Southwest training, a Midwest training, we have a national women's training, and a Southeast training. So no matter where you live, if you can either travel to safely to a place near you, or virtually, there's an opportunity for you to engage with us. And this is an introductory training for anyone who's thinking about running for office. Now, if you're interested about campaigning, and you were probably me thinking you'd never run for office, you can do a campaign management training with us, where we go into advanced skills about campaigning and campaign management. And we do that once a year. And we offer virtual trainings, virtual webinars that anyone can have access to. You don't have to be an alum of our network. Now, if you're a candidate, you can apply right now for an endorsement through New American Leaders Action Fund. And if you're an elected official, you can go through our training program as well. We have a series of training programs that we offer elected officials. So there's 3 ways that anyone can get involved with us, no matter where they are in the pipeline.
I love that. And Eva, I'd love for you to send me the link so I can link it into this video. And I'll also link it into our link tree. That way folks can go and apply. And when is the deadline? Are there things that we need to push for right now?
Yeah, so there's deadline today for our Southwest training. And then there is our National Women's Training. The deadline for that is February 7th. So if you happen to miss this deadline, it's okay, because there's 4 other trainings you can apply for. And there's a virtual training at the later this year that anyone can apply to. So there again, if traveling is a factor, there's definitely at least one virtual option for everyone.
Amazing. So we'll link the application to this video. We'll also link their website and where you can apply on there. Remember, there's a deadline today. It does not take long to fill out this application. It will take probably about less than half an hour if you're an overthinker like me. Otherwise, there's a few other deadlines, February 7th for the women's training, and you can look on their websites for the following trainings after that. Eva, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here and love this partnership that we have going. Please, let us know if there are any other exciting things happening. We would love to be around.
Yes, absolutely. I will continue to share what we have offering. And for now, like you said, there's a flyer on our website with all the dates and all the application deadlines. And follow us on social media. Apparently, Twitter and Instagram is where we are. And
Yes,
you can follow everything that we're up to. Thank you so much for inviting us today.
We'll also link the tag, or we'll also link the hashtags, or what do you call it? Yeah, the
The app, thank you. No, I know. On either website. I'm not on either website. I'm not on either app, so I don't know.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.